The University of Texas has gotten a bit more conservative lately. Thanks to new state laws and lots of money funneling anti-woke teachings, dozens of professors have left. Today on CityCast Austin, my guest explains how we got here and whether these changes will permanently affect the culture of Austin. It's Thursday, August 7th. I'm Nikki Devon, and this is what Austin's talking about. Hello, I am here with Brant Bingaman, reporter for the Austin Chronicle. So you recently wrote about a sort of brain drain in Austin. And I got to tell you, I love that term. I love that term. Just as like the new school year is about to begin, professors have recently left or been laid off at the University of Texas. And so off top, I want to know, when did this brain drain kind of begin?
Well, I started to become aware of it a year ago when I was getting ready to write a story about the School of Civic Leadership at UT, which is this brand new school that Republicans have sort of imposed upon the university, is probably the right way to say it. But as I was talking to the professors about this, they were telling me a bunch of other concerns. And they were also letting me know that they were thinking about leaving the university. That's when I became aware that This is an issue.
And so what do you think is behind all of this? Why is this happening right now?
Well, it's because their control over their own university has been compromised by Republicans in the state legislature and really by the state's Republican leaders. Over the last two legislative sessions, state Republicans have written laws. SB 17 was the one in 2023, and SB 37 was the one from this legislative session that take control of the university in several ways. The first law that they passed, SB 17, it forced the university to get rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. As a result, UT leaders had to fire approximately 60 people. And this really alarmed a lot of faculty members, especially the ones who are in ethnic studies, women's and gender studies,
right,
and those kinds of, that teach those kind of courses.
Yeah.
So to give you a timeline of it, that happened in the spring of 2023. And just a couple of weeks after those people were fired, the university brought in DPS troopers to put down peaceful pro-Palestinian protests.
Yeah.
And that also really freaked out the teachers. A lot of them signed a letter of no confidence in the then president, Jay Hartzell, president of UT Austin, complaining about both of those issues.
You know, it's so funny because it feels like it was just yesterday. I remember it. My partner is a professor at UT. And, you know, I think that anytime things like this happen, it takes away your trust in the university to allow you to teach the things that you feel passionate about. You know what I mean? It's like, so now you're kind of like left at the whims of politicians. And I'm imagining that it can feel really unsettling.
Absolutely. And you really hit the nail on the head there with their concern is that they're not going to be allowed to teach the courses that they teach, or that they're going to they're going to be pressured to teach them in a different way, to leave stuff out of their teaching. And in fact, that's exactly what it is all about.
Yeah.
Because Republicans are really freaked out by the teaching of even such, simple stuff as the civil rights movement. I linked to a survey in the most recently published story, and it said that about 50% of Republicans don't even want the civil rights movement to be taught,
Yeah.
That makes them uncomfortable.
I mean, now we're talking about academic freedom here. Like it's like a concerted effort to keep people uneducated, and not just in the way of like changing history and what history can be in books, but now manipulating and threatening educators too.
Absolutely. They don't want to educate people.
Right.
Not really.
Yeah.
Or they want to educate them in their own ways, which of course is what they complain about from the other side. They do want to, in my opinion, indoctrinate people. But the whole thing that the professors who I spoke with told me time and time again, the whole thing about universities is that they teach in a fashion that allows the students to make their own decisions about the material that's in front of them. That's what
Yeah.
universities do. That's what university classes are.
That's the whole point. The whole point is to prepare you to be able to make your own decisions and, decide what kind of human you want to be.
Absolutely.
So I'm curious. Now, there are other colleges and universities in town. Are we seeing stuff like this at St. Ed's or Austin Community College or Houston Tillotson? Are we seeing any of this at those universities as well?
Not that I'm aware of, because these laws, SB 17 and SB 37, they only apply to the state's public university systems, of which there are, depending on how you count them, 7. And the big one, of course, is UT Austin, or the University of Texas system, which includes several schools. And then there's also A&M's system, and there's Houston and some others.
Okay, so it's okay, that makes sense. So the new school year is about to begin, and UT's School of Civic Leadership is about to welcome its first 100 freshmen to a new civics honors major. This is a school, like you mentioned, that was created by the UT Board of Regents in 2023 and recently got $100 million in funding for their school at UT. And so I want to dive into a little bit more about this School of Civic Leadership. What is it all about? Where did the concept come from?
The concept is the one that is common to several other schools, really more than several. It's about a dozen across the country. They're all based on schools like the Hoover Institute at Stanford. In essence, what they're there to do is to create a space where conservative students feel more welcome. Apparently, the way that they bill these schools is that they focus on the importance of the Constitution, the U.S. Constitution, the importance of the Founding Fathers, and Western civilization, the values of Western civilization, which, of course, the folks who I talk to find those types of descriptions, they think that they're codes for white male values.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's my question. Are they going to be honest and true about the entirety of of U.S. history, or is it just going to be the feel-good bits that they think are important and patriotic? Because I know a lot of conservative people that also believe in civil rights. So I'm really, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I'm really curious about what the curriculum is going to be.
Well, since it's, based on stuff that happened 2.5 centuries ago, maybe they don't have to worry about teaching the more modern developments, But that's a great question. Will there eventually be, or is there already a civil rights course at the School of Civic Leadership? I'm not sure.
So it seems like it's from, first look, it's just getting back to core values. And what those core values are, we don't probably know yet.
Yeah.
You gotta wait and see.
But, one must assume that they don't include the so-called woke agenda. Because that's the stuff that the Republicans rail against. That's what they claim is going on at the university. So, and the woke agenda includes stuff like women's studies, gender studies, ethnic studies.
Listen, God forbid anybody else feel equal. We can't have none of that. None of that. So the UT Board of Regents chair said, quote, "We have needed a place where civic education is focused on the foundational principles of our constitutional democracy. The School of Civic Leadership at UT Austin is that place." Now, some people might think that the LBJ School of Public Affairs that already exists at UT Austin is that place. So how are these two schools different?
Well, I would also say the professors at the College of Liberal Arts would also say that their college is a place where what Eltief is describing can happen.
Yes. And for clarification, we're talking about Board of Regents Chair Kevin Eltief.
Because the College of Liberal Arts teaches about the U.S. Constitution. It teaches about the Founding Fathers and all of that, and all the classics, all the classical education that the School of Civic leadership claims to, promote.
Yeah. We got it covered.
We got it covered at
we
UT.
have it covered.
And at every major university, they teach that stuff already. So, But how are the schools different? The major way that they're different is that the courses that are taught at the College of Liberal Arts and at all the other schools and programs and institutes and those types of things at UT, they all came from a grassroots place. The professors proposed them. They were reviewed by other professors and administrators. They decided to, establish the course. If there's other courses in that subject area, they say, hey, how about we have a program? They might create a program. There's levels of creation of the course offerings at UT, and it's all led by academics, by professional teachers, But in the case of the School of Civic Leadership, that school was created by Republicans at the state legislature.
And to be clear, there were UT professors also involved in creating the new school, and faculty was hired specifically for this School of Civic Leadership. But still, it seems like just another example of how the state politicians always dipping their toes and their nose into Austin's business, right? It seems like Austin always kind of seems like the unruly oldest child. You know what I mean? Like the black sheep that, the parent has to come down and be like, don't make me come down there. And this just seems like another version of that. Switching gears just a little bit, the University of Austin, which opened its doors last fall, has presented itself as a anti-woke alternative to traditional universities. I gotta say that all of this, oh my gosh, all of the anti-wokeness that's being floated around right now is tedious. Part of me is just like, okay, it's enough, get over it. But this is a big deal, right? This is a huge deal. So how do you see this new institution fitting into, or maybe even changing, the current landscape of higher education in Austin?
Well, I doubt very much that it will. But
okay. I
mean,
okay.
I
did not expect you to say that. Okay.
I just don't think it's gonna take off. I think it's gonna remain a very insular, small, and ultimately meaningless exercise in white supremacy, if you want to just call it like it is.
Yeah.
I mean, these are people who are not comfortable being part of the real world, of being part of a diverse community, which Austin is. And they want to put a wall between themselves and everybody else. And, maybe they'll find that it works for them on some level, but I don't think it's going to be that influential. And ultimately, I don't think what the state Republicans are doing at UT Austin and the rest of the state's public universities is going to succeed either. I think that the public universities are ultimately going to come roaring back. They're going to once again take control of their universities. They've always had control of them. But, it might be a generational effort to get back there.
It's, I did not expect you to say that. That's wild because in a lot of ways, the makeup of Austin is changing with the Joe Rogans and the Elon Musks and the people that tend to follow behind people like that. I'm seeing these kind of anti-woke, white nationalist people around younger and younger. And, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little worried that it would affect things here in Austin. The leadership of University of Austin signed something called the Manhattan Statement on Higher Education by Chris Rufo, and it calls on President Donald Trump to draft a new contract with universities that should be written into, quote, every grant, payment, loan, eligibility, and accreditation, and punishable by revocation of all public benefit. I want to hear what you think about this.
Well, that's the first I'm hearing about this. It's of a piece with the other stuff that's going on because Rufo has been behind the anti-DEI
Yeah.
legislation, and he's behind all the stuff that's going on in higher ed right now from the Republicans. He's kind of a thought leader among Republicans about how to approach higher ed. So he's intricately involved in all of this policy. But I also, just to get back to the University of Austin, that question, I hurry to say that I am not sure how everything's going to turn out. Like maybe I'm wrong and we're seeing a complete change, a complete tidal wave of, totalitarianism or whatever you want to call it, sweeping over the country. And maybe that stuff will become more influential. Maybe democracy will end. Who knows? But I just choose to believe that that's not the case. I hope it's not.
I have these moments where I'm like, man, I really want to sit down with someone like Chris Rufo and have a conversation with them just about what what's happening in their brain, what is going on that they feel totally comfortable denying reality.
Right.
I think that they just don't care. It's like, and that's the part of it that I feel like keeps them kind of like in this one step ahead place. You know what I mean?
Right.
I go back and forth about whether or not it'll work here in Austin. We've always been called like this blueberry in the tomato soup. It's a city of liberals and protests and activism and free thinking. Do you think that these changes in our higher education institutions threaten to change that not just now, but for the future?
Well, I mean, going back to my response a second ago, I would say no. But, if you look at it from the other side, sure. I mean, we can always be afraid that things are going to change permanently. You look at other societies and things changed, dramatically.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen with Texas, but I have a hell of a lot more optimism about Austin. Because first of all, I'm here and I'm amongst my peers. I'm amongst my people, the people I love. I see there's a lot of jerks who have moved into the city, but I don't think it's a large percentage of the town at this point still.
I love this. You're giving me hope. And so, you wrote a story about, the teachers leaving UT, and we are seeing that. I'm curious about your opinion, like on the flip side of that, with the way things are changing. Do you think UT is going to be able to hire and pull in professors that would, I guess, be good for Austin? They're losing professors for all of these changes. Do you think they're going to be able to replace these professors with the same caliber?
Well, the professors who I speak with say no,
Yeah.
The professors who I have spoken with and continue to speak with say that it's going to be a hell of a lot harder for UT to recruit the best quality instructors out there. And, it's going to hurt the prestige of the university. And they regard that as a fait accompli, that it's already happened. The university's already been badly hurt, in their opinion.
Wow. I'm fascinated. I can't wait to see how this pans out, because I know that for a while the thought was that Hartzell was the problem. And for sure, yes, he definitely was part of the problem, but it seems as if this is going to be something that's ongoing, I think.
Absolutely.
So I'm interested to see how it tracks. But I do love that you think like you're standing 10 toes down with feeling like it's not going to change Austin. I kind of love that.
Well,
I love that.
I don't know. I've been here a long time, so maybe that informs my prejudice. But I have hope.
I love it. So is there anything else that you think listeners should know about what's happening with educators at UT and the higher education that we should maybe keep our eye on?
Well, I would just say that, in my reporting, I focused a lot on professors, but I would like to have everyone think about the kids who are being taught also, the students. I shouldn't say kids, they're adults. That's a concern that people have brought up to me, and I think that's well placed. It's important to think about. Yeah, the professors are leaving, but these students are still here, and we need to think about what we can do to make the money that they're spending on UT worth it.
Right. Hell yeah. That's right. And also, I say this a lot. I feel like a little bit people might be tired of hearing me say it. This generation right now, Gen Z, they're, I mean, hungry. You know what I mean? Like they want truth, they want honesty, they'll get out, they'll protest, they'll do all the things. And so we definitely need professors in this city that honor that kind of cultivate that. Well, regardless of what side, right? Like cultivate that tendency towards individual thought and free thinking.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that what they value more than anything in public life is authenticity.
Yeah. 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 And I love it. I love to see it. It's been really wonderful watching them move through the world. Some of them are ferocious and I'm into it. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
I agree.
I can't wait to see what they do. Brant, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for having this chat with me. This was great.
Thanks, Nikki. I really, really appreciate it.
That's all for today here on CityCast Austin. You can find links to Brant's reporting in our show notes. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and of course, subscribe to our Hey Austin newsletter. And you know what? If you really love CityCast Austin, help support it by becoming a neighbor today at membership.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye, y'all.